Hello everyone, I'm Karen Bosch, and I've been having a lot of fun recently using some AI art generators to create images that I can transform into Procreate stamps. And you can see a few examples here. They're all kind of winter themed, a wreath, snowman, a Christmas tree. I even have a stamp here that I was able to do some coloring on it underneath because all of those lines are transparent. Let me show you what the stamps look like. If I go up here in my brushes, you can see some of the ones that I've saved. This one is a snow globe one. And so I'm going to go ahead and do this and just stamp that in. I can adjust the size and make it bigger or smaller. Let me make a little smaller one. And I can change the color to whichever color I want. So let me go ahead and do this in a blue color. And so you can see, oops, that one didn't turn. Let me try that again. There you go, there's the blue one. And so you can see there's a lot of variety of things that you can do using those stamps in Procreate. So let me show you how I created these stamps. So actually you can use any AI art generator that you're familiar with. I've had best results using the Microsoft Bing image creator, which is free. And one thing that's great about the Bing image creator is that it creates the images in a square. And you do need to have a square image in order to do this. So your generator needs to have that option. And for Bing, that is the only option that is available. The prompt that I have used has been black, ink, illustration of, and then I put in whatever it is that I want to have a picture of. So I'm going to do snowman. Oops. And then I am going to put with a white background. And one of the reasons I like this one, I've had best success, is because it does give you a very pure white background. And also the illustrations really have a lot of detail. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And you never know what you're going to get. Here you can see some of the stamps that I have already done, the illustrations that I've turned into a stamp. And so this is going to take a few seconds to generate. And here you can see my snowman. And you can see there's some that are have a lot of detail. And you might want to pick one that maybe is a little simpler to use for this. I actually really like this one right here. So I am going to tap that one to open it up a little bit larger. And then I'm going to hit the download button and it's going to make it even larger. You want it to be a little bit of a larger resolution. And then I'm going to press and hold on my iPad and hit save to photos. And that will save that image into my photo album. So here I am in Procreate. You can see some of the project files that I've been exploring this with. To start making my stamp, I'm going to hit the plus and I need to pick the square. And then once you get the square open, pinch it a little bit so that you can see all of the edges. You're going to have your picture fit within that square perfectly. Then I'm going to go up to my tools right here, my wrench. Under add, I'm going to hit insert a photo. Here's my photo album, and there's my snowman that I've imported. Right now it is active for editing. You can see the arrow there, the selection arrow is already there. And so I'm like doing this with my finger. I'm going to stretch it and I want it to be just a little bit bigger than the white square of my canvas. And the reason is if you leave a little edge that's not filled with this image, it sometimes will make then a little edge on your stamp that will be visible. All right, so I've got that image prepared on the canvas. Now I'm going to go up to my layers, and you can see layer 1, and I'm going to tap on it, and I'm going to hit invert. And that is going to change it to, obviously, black with white. So, and then I can tap and get that to go away. Now there is a shortcut that sometimes works with this. From this step, you can go here and you can do copy, okay? That does not always work when you're doing the next part with making your brush. So the way I've had better success with doing this is like a little extra step. I'm going to go again to my wrench. I'm going to go share, and I'm going to share that as a PNG file, and that will preserve transparency. And then I'm just going to save that image to my camera roll. Okay, I'm going to go back up to my gallery, and we're going to go ahead and hit plus again. And this part you could really do any size, but I'm going to just do the square size again. All right. Now we're going to create our brush. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go up to my brushes. Now I have a folder that I call my designs, whereas I've experimented with making brushes, I put them there. You can just go into imported or into any of your folders to do this if you don't have a place that you're saving some of your designs in. And we're going to create our brush from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the plus here. And you've got a lot of stuff here. I don't understand all of this. I do know the way that you get started with this is go to shape, and then I'm going to hit edit, and I'm going to hit import. Now if I did the copy, here would be where I would do the paste. Since I saved this as a photo, I'm going to hit import photo, go this here, and it has imported that picture into the brush editor. However, you're going to see as I draw that it kind of goes all blurred together because there's some settings we're going to have to change on this brush to make it work properly. So I have experimented with this and looked at some other stamp brushes that I've downloaded. And what I have discovered are some settings. And so in order to make sure we get the settings right, I'm going to go here to split screen, and I'm going to do a split view. And I'm going to go into my photos, and I'm going to go and look at the settings that I used in order to set this up. And I'm going to be starting to look at the stroke path. Okay, so that's the top one up here. And this looks a little bit different here because I've got the split screen. It's showing the picture right up here. And your settings that come up for you might be slightly different than mine. I'm not sure. There's a lot of settings here, but these are the ones that we want. So I want to change the spacing on that, first of all, to be about 75%, okay? And already you can see that those little snowmen have gotten to be spaced apart that you can see them. Let's go to the next one. This one is going to be the stabilization. And so let me swipe to my next one here. So for stabilization, it shows that we need to add in on the streamline, it looks like about 30%. Everything else on here should be pulled all the way over to, so that there's none of it. Okay, I'm going to go to the third one. This is going to be the taper. The taper is when the brush goes thin and gets thicker and goes thin again. Okay, let's look at these settings here. So it looks like we have to have, on this one, we do not want there to be any pressure because we want it to stamp solid without any opacity. And so as we look at all of these, Everything else is going to be turned down. Again, you want to just make sure the pressure is also turned all the way off to none. All right, next one is our shape source. So let's go ahead and look at that one. Okay, and so on this one, I don't believe there's anything that we need to have changed. The only thing that we would have is the rotation at 0, scatter count, everything is moved all the way over to the left. Okay, next one, grain source is going to just be a pure white, and you do not need to, oops, let me do this with my finger, do not need to change anything on there. Okay, so everything stays the same for the grain source. Okay, next one is the rendering mode. So let's look at the settings for the rendering mode. Okay, so instead of an intense glaze, we're going to use a uniform glaze. Again, that will make the color to be solid. And then, oops, and then let me slide down here. Flow should be max. Everything else stays the same. Wet edges, burnt edges. The burnt edges mode, multiply, and the blend is normal. Okay, next one is the wet mix. And so let's look at that. And so on the wet mix, I've turned the charge down. I'm not sure what all of that is. And the pull down, again, we want it to be just very solid and flat. And then the grade, I have it about 75 again. And I'm not sure exactly what that is, but, and then everything else is pulled all the way down. Next one is the color dynamics. Pinch that. And basically, we don't want there to be any color dynamics at all. On this top part, we don't want there to be a color sensitiveness. And then everything else here just stays in the middle for the color pressure. In the middle, we don't want that to change. And the color tilt, again, we don't want that to change either. So just going to leave that all as it is there. Next one is the speed, and that is like depending on how fast you draw, what's going to happen. And again, the size and opacity at 0, and the size and opacity for the jitter all the way off. Next one is our pressure settings. Sometimes when you use pressure, things get darker or lighter. And so for this one, the size is at 0. And then the opacity, we're going to move all the way down. Okay, so that one has to go. We don't want there to be any opacity to show. Flow is at 0. The bleed is at 0. And then everything else here as well is just at none. So you don't need to do anything with that. Estimated pressure just is for the hover. It's set at 10%. Next one is going to be the brush properties. And so for that one, I did turn on the stamp preview and the preview size. Smudge pull 75%. Maximum size, I want that to be a lot bigger. And you can see as my snowman gets bigger, you know, I have it at about 900%. And that's how big that stamp is going to get when you stamp it. You can even make it a little bit bigger. And then the minimum size, I have that just like at about 3%, you know, and then you can play with those. If the stamp gets too small, too big, you can change those around. And then everything else here, maximum opacity is max and minimum is none. Our next one is just how this is going to look when it's 3D. You don't really need to worry about that. And then the last one allows you to customize this. And so I am going to scribble out Untitled Brush, and I'm going to call this one Snowman 2, because I've already got a snowman. And then where it says name, I'm going to scribble that out and put by Karen Bosch. And then here where it says sign here, you can sign your name, or I like to do like my Twitter and Instagram handle, which is Carly B. So I go ahead and do that. And once you've done that, you are done. I'm going to move this off. Here you can see Snowman 2. I'm going to pick black, and let's see what happens when I stamp. And boom, there you have it, a beautiful, beautiful stamp. I can change the sizing on that. I can customize the colors. If I want to color underneath it, I would go ahead, hit plus, and then that layer 2, move underneath it. Oops, got to get it underneath it, sorry. There we go. And then what that allows me to do, let me go ahead and just go to a brush here. This is kind of like a watercolor brush. And let me get like kind of like a reddish color. And so it allows me to color underneath the black. And so without covering up the black, let me make that brush a little skinnier. I can do watercoloring or crayon or chalk or something else and put it underneath the black. And if I get out of bounds, I can go in with my eraser and clean it up a little bit, but it doesn't erase the black. Let me get a nice little orange carrot for, nice orange for the carrot nose. I can color that in. Oh, that's not the greatest color, but you get the idea of how you can color things in to underneath the stamp. The stamp is on a top layer and the coloring goes on underneath. And if I even wanted to change the background color of this, say now I want like a gray color or some other color for some reason, I could do that, but probably in most cases the white is what you're going to want to have. So I hope that gives you an idea of some of the cool things that you can do using AI to generate those really, really cool stamps that are customized and that you can incorporate into your designs here in Procreate. One last thing I want to show you. I know when we went in here to our brushes and hit the plus, there were a lot of settings here that you needed to change. But once, let me get rid of this one, hit delete. Once you have set up a brush correctly for the stamp, you can just use that as the template for any other ones you do. So this is Snowman 2, the one I just demonstrated for you. I'm going to swipe to the left and hit duplicate. And now I've got Snowman 2 again. I think it's a Snowman 2.1. I'm going to tap that open. And now all I have to change is to go into the shape right here. I'm going to tap edit. I'm going to tap import. And now I'm going to import my new one. I think I'm going to do the pine branch here and hit done. I can also change the name of this brush if I want to. So I'm going to tap where it says about this brush. And this is called Snowman 2. I'm going to cross that out, scroll that out. And come on, get rid of that. Sometimes the scribble doesn't work and you have to use the keyboard. Either way, it works fine. And I'm just going to call this Pine Branch and hit done. And now I have my Pine Branch stamp. Let me make that a little bit bigger, change it to a nice green color, and boom, there is my new stamp, much faster. So once you have that one brush set up, just duplicate it and keep using it over and over, and you can make these stamps very, very quickly. I hope this tutorial will help you, and I hope you have a lot of fun making stamps using AI art.